Hey, it's Tech. Welcome to Off the Cuff bonus episode. I'm in a little bit different space. I've moved to my kitchen for this video and the next one to give myself a little bit of working space. I'll show you why here in a minute. But today, I want to follow up on something that I talked about a month ago in a vlog called, what did I call it? I called it, Why Do Computers Die? I mentioned my laptop was having trouble. It was corrupting the file systems on hard drives and devices attached to it. It's done it 3 times for me, and that's 3 times too many in my opinion. Your opinion can differ, but I consider that to be a problem when it's happening regularly. I ran some troubleshooting on it. I figured it was not a software issue. It was age-related. It's something in the hardware. So while I'm going to be able to keep using that computer for writing and for surfing the web, I can't actually use it for making these videos. It's no longer good for animation. It's no longer good for editing because all of those require external drive connections, which I don't trust because it's corrupted. And I've been lucky I haven't lost data, but only because I have things like double and triple backed up because I'm paranoid about that. That's what happens when you have 15 years IT experience. You get paranoid because you've seen basically everything. Well, I hadn't seen that problem, but I was at least able to figure out what was going on. Anyway, I wanted to talk today in this bonus episode about my decision to buy new parts and to build a computer instead of buying an iMac. That was really my choices. I knew I needed a new computer. I wanted the current generation of 5K iMacs. This is January 2016. So the current generations of 5K iMacs have that the top spec that I wanted have an AMD M395X graphics card with an Intel processor, actually this processor here, and I'll tell you why I bought that one. It's the same one. It's a 4 gigahertz, 4-core Intel i7. I was going to throw in 32 gigs of RAM, SSD inside, 5K glorious image. It was going to be awesome, but my computer died before I could finish saving for it because it is a pretty expensive investment of a computer. And so I had to look at, okay, what can I actually afford now to replace it and keep doing videos? I don't make enough off of YouTube to actually justify spending money on it. I do. It's a losing venture for me, but I really enjoy making the videos, and I think you guys do too, which is why I keep making them. So I had to make the decision exactly how much did I want to spend, how to go about and figure out what I needed, what I wanted, and what my budget was going to be. Those 3 items are basically how I make any decision. So if I'm going to be buying something for me or for work, if I'm going to be doing an activity, I look at those things. Okay, what do I need to do or buy or look at or use? What do I want to do, look at, buy, or whatever? And what is my budget? Budget doesn't always involve money, by the way. It can involve time. For me, the time and skill necessary to build a computer like this is negligible in the budget because I've done it so many times. Whereas for a beginner, that's a very different budgeting allocation. So for me, I knew I could save myself a lot of money and get a better system if I built it myself. On the other hand, one of the things I really, really, really wanted was to stay in the Apple ecosystem. There's reasons behind why I wanted to stay there, and I'm probably going to address them in a different future video, but I wanted a Mac because I'm tired of doing my own IT for myself. I'm tired of tricking things into staying running, and I've had troubles with Windows machines in the past. Now, I hadn't built those particular machines myself, and so I wanted, when I built this, I said if I was going to build this, I gotta build it in a way that's going to be reliable, it's going to last, I'm not going to have any issues with it, at least for a year. That's my target goal. So what I did is I started by defining what exactly I needed. So my current laptop is a 5-year-old MacBook Pro. Its processor is a quad-core 2.2 gigahertz. Which is fairly slow these days, but I wanted to at least double that. The programs that I use on a regular basis are Adobe Premiere and Adobe After Effects, which is what I do most of my video work in, as well as some Adobe Photoshop. While Premiere will utilize a GPU and will utilize like almost as much as what you give it. I'm not doing really heavy color correction. Like I'm not using DaVinci here at home. I use it at work. So I don't have to worry about putting a lot of load on my GPU, and a faster CPU is going to give me better performance in Premiere and better performance in After Effects, which for a lot of stuff uses only single core performance. So while Adobe's actually in the middle of rewriting some of their software and they removed some features because of it, but a lot of Adobe After Effects rendering, which is where I do all my animation, is on a single core. So single core performance, essentially a 4 gigahertz doubles my single core performance. So for me, that was the need, is I needed the computer I got to be, let me just drop a $400 processor. It's all right, it's fine. I needed the computer to be faster than what I currently had it. If I was going to get something equal, that's not going to help me much. It's a waste of money at that point. I mean, if I'm equaling now what a 5-year-old computer can do, that's, why would I do that if I'm trying to improve things? So for me, there was really only one option, and it was the current generation of Intel i7s, the 6700K, which is an Intel Skylake processor. So it's their latest generation. I wanted Skylake. I could have gotten a cheaper Broadwell architecture processor, which was based on the Haswell microarchitecture. That's a different story. But the reason I didn't is because the Skylake processors have built-in decoding and encoding algorithms for H.265 encoding. So a lot of video, including what you're probably watching, is either in the H.264 or the VP8 codec. YouTube uses a combination of those. They're starting to push out H.265 for some of their 4K stuff. Netflix is using it for 4K. It's the next generation of video compression that we're going to be seeing more and more and more of. I've been actually working in it for the last 2 years, so I'm very familiar with it. But I wanted to be able to remove the decode complexity off of the CPU, off of the GPU, and onto a dedicated decoder, which is what Intel has put inside of its Skylake processors. The Broadwells had dedicated decoding for VP8 and VP9 as well as H.264. This added HEVC or H.265. So I'm really happy with that. It's going to make sure that it doesn't feel slow in the next couple of years, because that's one of the biggest places where you'll notice a processor feeling slow is when you go to decode a video and it just starts going choppy and slow down. But having that dedicated decoder removes the effort, or removes the work being done from the CPUs themselves and puts it onto a dedicated decoding core. So I'm really, really happy about that. So i7, the reason that I go with an i7 over an i5 is, again, Premiere will do a lot of multi-threading, and when I'm encoding and compressing for web, it will use as much power as I can give to it. So the difference between an i5 and an i7 primarily is hyper-threading. i7s have a little bit bigger cache, so they can swap more files between cores and act a little bit more efficiently, but they also use hyper-threading. Hyper-threading is a virtualization trick that allows 4 cores to present themselves to the operating system as 8. I don't want to go into the technical details as to why that's a benefit if you can multi-thread your applications, but the basis is that I get about a 50% performance boost by using hyper-threading over just using single core performance or multi-core performance. So if I have 4 cores acting as 8, it's like I'm getting the performance of 6 cores, which is good. More cores for my money. At work, I have a 24-core machine on 2 physical chips with hyper-threading, and has emulation of essentially 48 cores. It is, some programs are just like, what the hell are you doing? Anyway, so picking the chip was part of my needs. Once I decided that this was what I wanted and what I needed, that started setting some of the other things that I needed in motion. I needed a motherboard that could support it, and so it was going to be a current generation of an Asus or a Gigabyte or an MSI motherboard because of the new chipset that goes along with this. I decided on this one here, the Gigabyte Z170X UD5TH. It's a mouthful. It's actually really easy to understand how their particular naming code. So Z170 is the chipset. So it's all the rest of the chips that go along with the processor and help it. I went with this. This is their performance series of chipsets for consumers. The reason I went with the performance series was because it adds a little bit more PCIe lanes. And so in the long run, if I add a graphics or an additional graphics card or anything like that, I'll get better performance out of this than a different motherboard. The UD5 is the ultra durable series by Gigabyte. I think Asus has it. I think they call them the Rock series. But these motherboards are built with a little bit more precision. I don't want to say more precision. They're built with a little bit higher quality materials than their other performance gaming ones. It's not that the other ones are bad. It's just these ones are a little bit better. They have better heat sinks. They have metal caps on things, grounded metal caps that will protect your slots so that you're not putting as much mechanical strain on the motherboard, on the different parts as you're moving them around. Their capacitors are higher quality. They last a little bit longer. So while another board is going to give you really, really good features and really, really good performance, this one's going to last longer, which is what I'm looking at. Its price difference is marginal, but that's why I picked this particular one with the UD5. But actually, that was a benefit. I would have gone with another motherboard, either from Gigabyte or Asus, except that this is the only Z170 motherboard at the time that I'm making this with Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is a PCIe bus extension technology. It allows you to essentially connect peripherals as if they're directly attached to the computer. So Thunderbolt 1 and 2 has been primarily on Macs. You can find some on Windows. Thunderbolt 3 is already more cross-platform. The current generations of laptops had it. It uses the same connector as the USB Type-C or USB 3.1 connector. They're a fully reversible connector. They're not backwards compatible physically with the old USB 3, USB 2, USB 1, 1.1 connectors. So you need new plugs for it, but the USB gets up to 10 gigabits per second throughput. The Thunderbolt 3 gets up to, I think, 30 or 40 gigabits per second throughput. So this is a brand new technology, but having it and making sure that I had it is going to make sure that my computer is going to last. Again, longevity. If I'm spending this kind of money on a computer, I want to make sure that it's going to last a long time. So the Thunderbolt was the big draw. The UDA, the UD5, the ultra durable series, that was a benefit. It's also got a really good onboard sound processing and some good connections for the RAM. I can overclock it if I want to, but I'm probably not going to because that can adversely affect the life and stability of the machine, which are two needs that I have, is long life and stability. There's other things I could have wanted. I could have wanted more PCI lanes. I could have wanted more connectors or whatever, but I decided that the Thunderbolt was a need in the Z70 motherboard because this kind of comes as a package deal, and I'm really looking forward to using those and getting them down. For that, I needed new DDR4 RAM. I bought 16 gigs, knowing that I can expand out later. This was the capacity, the 16 gigs was a need. I wanted 32. I wanted, this will support up to 64. I can't justify 64 at the moment, but I could get a little bit better performance with 32, but it was more of a want than a need. And budget, meaning how much money I actually had in the bank to be able to spend on this, made a big difference in this particular case. And the benefit is I add 2 more DIMMs and of the exact same kind, and I can upgrade it to 32 gigabytes later without any issues. So for now, the DDR4 is faster memory than most previous memory, so you get a little bit faster access times, a little bit lower latency. I might have a little issue where I get reduced capacity because I'm going to be using the GPU on the Intel processor, their Iris Pro graphics, rather than using a dedicated CPU or dedicated graphics card. The graphics card would have been a want. When I ran the numbers and looked at the benchmarks, the GPU in here benchmarks 50% faster than the AMD Radeon that I have in my laptop, my 5-year-old card. I've also heard really good things about the new integrated graphics with the Intel processors. So I wanted to take a look and say, like, you know what, I'll take a little risk on this and see if I can actually meet most of my performance needs with the integrated graphics, because I'm doing HD work. I'm not doing much 4K yet. If I want to, I'll definitely need another card, but this should give me the same or better real-time performance in Premiere as my other applications. But since I'm not doing heavy color correction, which is a really GPU intensive task, and I don't use very many plugins that use the GPUs, I think I'm going to be fine with this. But if not, I'm going to add another graphics card later. I spec'd out a couple other things intentionally with that in mind. Also, if I don't like the computer, then I can sell it to someone and say like, hey, all you have to do is add your graphics card, and basically any generation of graphics card will work, and you have a great base system, and I recover some of my costs. SSD is what I'm going to use as a system disk. The Samsung 850 EVO series and the 840 EVO series, I have loved these drives. I have used them in so many different places. I have a 4 terabyte SSD RAID of 4 of these at work, and I get 1.5 gigabytes per second read or write, which is freaking fast. That's an entire DVD copied in 7 seconds, 6 seconds. It's really fast. These guys have continually gotten the best SSD performance for single 2.5-inch size. So this is what I'm going to use. I bought a 250 because when I did the math, that was what I needed of a drive. I wanted a 500. They're still a little bit too more expensive, and with the collection of the other things like the better motherboard and the better processor, it basically meant my budget wasn't high enough to put in 500, but this is going to be plenty. It's going to be plenty fast, and I'm not going to have any issues with it. I love this series of SSDs, the Samsung 850s. I have an Intel in my other laptop, and I've used, what else have I used? I've used some J Microns. I've used some, there's a couple of other ones that are, they're okay, they're not bad. But these guys, for reliability and bang for your buck, I haven't found a better SSD anywhere. And you should have an SSD in your system. If you do not have one, go and put your system drive on an SSD. Get that done. It'll improve your performance so much. That's why SSD was a need, but the particular capacity was a want. Anyway, so this base package here, I actually got from Newegg. When I went to go and price out their motherboard, they had a deal on where I could get the processor I wanted, the RAM I wanted from the brand I wanted. The Vengeance series, by the way, is reliable RAM, the same way that I got a durable motherboard. I wanted to get durable RAM. They have heat sinks on them, which will help with heat dissipation and increase their longevity. And then had the SSDs that I wanted at the right capacity. And when you bundle it all together, I think you got like 50 to $100 off the purchase price of them individually, and that's comparing it with other sites like Amazon and B&H and a few other sites that I do cross-comparison checks with. So overall, I was really, really happy with how much I got on that. Anyway, so those were my decision makings. Last things, I got a case, a cooler, a more powerful PSU than I needed to support the potential of a card later, and then a really nice Dell display that I'm going to use. I like the Dell products for displays. I haven't liked their computers in the past, but their displays have gotten really, really good. But these core items here, I just wanted to talk about to show you the difference between wants, needs, and budget, and how those all work together to help us make decisions. Whether that's, do I want to go to the movies? Well, what's your budget in terms of money and time, and what are your opportunity costs, and what else could you have gotten for that time or money? Should you be sleeping because you have a presentation the next day? All of those things act as considerations when making decisions. So until next time, which I'm going to film right after this because I'm going to start a computer build, I'm Tech Adams saying keep thinking, and thanks for watching.